Hello, everybody. It is October 6, 2018, and this is the VGBits Bitcast, episode 39, supplemental. It's a Saturday.
It is Saturday, and we're working.
But we also have a couple of guys who are in here working as well. For their sake, it is House Pixel Games. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We're so excited. We've got the nice
Move
new...
your mic closer to you.
Me too.
Just have it like in front of you. Should be good.
It's okay.
Hello.
No, everything's good. We are so excited that House Pixel is joining us in studio today.
Again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at this point in time, last time y'all were in here, the game was just fixing to release within a couple of weeks on Steam.
I think that's about right.
Yeah.
So now that it has been out and has been running around and people have been mowing and people have been throwing, we are happy to have y'all back in so we could talk a little bit more about the game and maybe possibly where the game's going in the future.
Yes.
But first, why don't you introduce yourselves? Tell us what you do at House Pixel Games.
Yes. So for those of you who didn't catch the last podcast, my name is Mark Mixon. I'm a producer at House Pixel Games, and I'm joined here by my friend and colleague. Well, I'll let him introduce himself.
Yeah, thank you.
Do it.
My name's Guy. I'm the creative director at House Pixel Games. And other duties that I have are level design and some of the UI implementation stuff.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
We have lots of fun questions for you then.
Oh, boy.
I have demands.
I know. Well, I brought the right guy for the questions
There
today.
you go. I appreciated the pun when you texted me. I've got the guy.
I don't know how Guy feels about it. Like, I know Guy loves puns, but that one's probably wearing thin after like 30 some odd years.
Well, let's kind of break down some brass tacks here. Normally, for our podcast format, we have a very it goes, what have we been playing, and then news, and then we do emails. But since this is going to be a special edition here, we just want to talk to y'all about your game and what's going on with House Pixel and Mowin and Throwin. One of the things that we've noticed here recently was the inclusion of a 1 versus 1 capability in the game. So why don't you tell us a little bit about 1 versus 1 now?
Okay. So 1 versus 1 mode, it came about because, we have like an accessibility issue of the game. Having 4 people present at any one time with 4 controllers was very difficult. So we invented the 1v1 mode, and we wanted to put enough thought and energy into it to make it worthwhile. Instead of having it be like a tacked on thing, because the nice thing about Mowin and Throwin is the 2v2 is so fun between the interaction that you have with your teammate and then the enemy teammates, that just throwing or just removing 2 gnomes and having it 1v1 wasn't as fun as the 2v2 mode. So with that, we did a lot of play testing, just removing those gnomes and seeing how far we could get with that design. And then we realized quickly that some of our levels just weren't fun or didn't even work at all in 1 versus 1 mode. But the nice thing is, like, there are just little small tweaks that we can do with the existing levels that doesn't create a huge amount of overhead, so that we can have fun 1v1 levels. So we actually have 4 unique levels that are in the 1 versus 1 mode because of that.
Yeah. And it's a ton of fun, too.
Yeah.
I played it
Thank you.
OP Live, which thank you guys for inviting me.
Yes.
But I played it with Zaytoven. Shout out to Zaytoven.
Yeah,
Cool guy.
Zaytoven's a great guy. He's like our first big, I don't know what term we would describe, super fan, brand ambassador. There's a lot of words for the people who like love your game as much as you do, even though, they aren't as close. But yeah, Paul has been great to us.
Yeah. But I played with him, and it's a ton of fun. Like, because before 1v1, we had played just practicing, because this is before Parsec was available, or we knew about Parsec. But we had played just testing out the game, and the 2v2 maps, being 2v2, playing 1v1, it was okay. It wasn't that fun, because you're obviously missing a whole lot. But playing the 1v1 was really fun. Like, I felt like it was really well balanced, and it had, it was good. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Yeah, we get great feedback every time we go to shows.
Yeah,
it's really crazy because I think one of the big challenges we have is more on kind of the marketing side, right? Even though the game is out, when people see the game, they like the look of it, right? They're impressed by the quality of the art. So props to our art team for achieving that.
Absolutely.
But when they see the game, they're like, "Oh, I'm not sure this would be fun." And then they actually sit down, right? Because it's really easy to sit down at the show and actually play it.
Yeah.
And then they stand up and they do like a mental 180. They're like, "That was the most fun I've had. It's amazing. It's great." And we've been really, or I don't know if we have, but I know I've been scratching my head a lot of trying to kind of explain that. Like, why does that happen?
Yeah.
From a marketing standpoint, like how can you look at a game and be like, "Yeah, I'm not really sure that would be fun," and then you play it and it's like, "Oh my gosh. It's like the most fun I've had in ages."
Yeah.
Play it for 7 hours.
Yeah, I know that a lot of people are complimenting us when they say like, "Wow, that was surprisingly fun,"
Yeah.
right? But it's like kind of a backhanded
Surprisingly
compliment.
fun.
It's like it shouldn't be a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to work on making it obviously fun.
Yeah.
Well, that almost kind of goes hand in hand with one of the discussions that we were having last night with like virtual reality.
Mm-hmm.
There's such a high barrier with virtual reality to get into.
Mm-hmm.
But once you have that opportunity to experience it, you're like, "Oh, wow. Oh, wow." And it's kind of similar in this aspect right here. Everybody looks at the game and they're like, "Well," but once you play it, you're just like, "Well, this is great. Why haven't I actually had the opportunity to touch this before?"
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely see where you're coming from on that. And, well, the one, I'm a little stuck on the 1v1.
It's definitely a challenge, to give you a little more kind of insight in that. What I think we've learned, and it's crazy, like you get in game development, you get so close to a game that there are things after a while that are like staring you in the face, but then you just don't realize it for a long time. So, early on, we knew what was really the most fun about our game wasn't really the Mowin, it was the sabotage aspect or the throw-in, right? I mean, we knew that forever. And then, we see this phenomenon, and I have to credit Bill Hood, our COO and art lead, who sort of saw this insight at shows first. He's like, "Yeah, I see that people are like in line and they seem kind of skeptical, but then they play it and they do this 180. And when he said that to me, I started noticing it too, right? And, only recently, maybe in the last couple weeks, has my brain sort of like integrated these two seemingly unrelated pieces of knowledge to try to explain, why that is. And what I'm thinking now is really when people do see the game, what they primarily see is they see a game about lawn mowing or competitive lawn mowing, which, to be honest, I don't think the Mowin is really what's the most fun about our game. That's not what players have told us. They really identify more with the sabotage. And so I think that when they sit down and experience the game, that's when they experience the sabotage, and that's why they do the mental 180. But we'll see. I'm still trying to sort of confirm that theory of mine.
No, I tend to actually agree with you on that point because when we played last night, I was pretty much throwing the entire match. And, well, I wasn't throwing the match.
I got that. That was pretty good.
No, he won. I'm upset about it.
I was throwing the entire match at the mower and additionally the opposite thrower on the other side. And it pretty much became my exclusive job. Instead of even trying to go around and pulling grass just for half a second to actually get ahead, I just found myself kind of ignoring it and just going straight, "Here, rock, grass bag, make sure I don't throw the gas king."
There you go.
Yeah. I've done that way too many times so far.
So did my teammate. I just watch a gas can fly across the fence. I'm like, all right, then.
It's like, well, nuts.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really do see that kind of aspect that you're talking about right there, because that is really a lot where the fun is. And the fact that the lawnmower can convert to a tank and actually lob the grass bags as well, both players still have that opportunity. And it's I don't know, maybe that's just
I feel like, and this isn't a criticism. It might be a criticism.
That's okay. We're open to criticism.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I feel like the tank mode should be more obvious because I feel like, because even watching at OP Live and even when I play, I forget that it has a tank mode.
Yep. That is definitely one of the challenges is how to communicate. In general, like how do you communicate all the mechanics of the game as quickly as possible?
Yeah.
And our game, in the grand scheme of things, is not obviously complicated. It might be surprisingly complicated. No, there's depth to it. Like Guy has done a wonderful job weaving together some relatively, straightforward and simple looking mechanics to create the maximum amount of complexity.
Yeah.
And so
there's a lot of nuance to the game too. A lot of strategies that even some of the people at our studio employ. Like we had our last QA lead. Like his strategy is pick up every rock that you see and don't hit anybody with it. Just throw it on the lawn. Their lawn becomes so littered with rocks, it's impossible to mow. But whenever I try to employ that strategy, I'm not as good at it. Like he just has it. And we have another guy. He's our programmer, gameplay programmer. He'll get on the mower. And he'll just ruthlessly shoot people down.
Yeah.
Like as soon as you get on the mower, he shoots you and you're off.
Yeah.
And then he goes and mows, and then like pops up the turret at the same time that you're trying to hop on the mower, and then he knocks you off.
Yeah, and he never misses.
Yes.
Like never.
So, I mean, that's this is like definitely a strategy in the game. The only way to employ that is you actually have to have the skill to be able to pull that off.
Yeah.
But at the same time, even though he's doing that, he's not necessarily helping his lawn a whole lot. Because he is so tunnel visioned on that, so you can actually distract him, and so there's like it's like a counterplay to his meta play style if you want to go that direction. So
not anymore though. If he watches this,
he's like, "Do I do that?" Oh, crap. And now he's playing the meta.
Yeah.
Well, and per your point right there, it's something that just kind of made me start to think, and I've noticed that here recently y'all have been tweeting out about different hat styles, about possibly adding some customization or more options for the gnomes. This is going to be a little bit of a twofold thing here. Because of the tank mode of the lawnmower, have y'all considered modifying the actual lawnmower itself for different styles as well?
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting question. That was something that we really had some huge debates on really early in our project because the prototype that we had, you had 4 different lawnmowers that you can choose from.
Oh.
Yeah, they had 4 different
cosmetically different.
Yes, cosmetically. They weren't different. But that was also part of the issue, right? As people look at it cosmetically different, they had to be performed differently.
Yeah.
One of them was like a monster truck looking thing with like a plow on the front, so it's kind of suggestive that like it would do damage or something.
I just want that now.
Yeah, I know, right? So we kind of went away from that and did more gnome personalization than mower because we had a really huge debate on who was going to decide what the mower looks like. Because you have 2 people on a team, you both have to kind of agree on the mower. I mean, that could be kind of a really interesting meta mini game that we could come up with. But it was just kind of too complicated to think of how to make that fair. We were thinking about, well, one person maybe choose the tread of the tires and the other one chooses the body or something like that. But then there was always going to be that one person that says, well, why do I get to choose the tires? Like, I want to choose the body. So since we thought that it would be just kind of too complicated for the players, we just wanted to get them into the game as fast as possible and having a good time. We didn't want to mess with mower customization too much and focus more on the gnome and the hat styles and stuff.
Which, by the way, I'm a big fan of the pirate hat.
Awesome.
Forthcoming.
Oh yeah, it's coming soon.
Yeah, we teased it on National Talk Like a Pirate Day. Was that what it was?
Oh, nice.
I don't remember.
It wasn't National Pirate Day. It was National something else like a pirate. I think it was National Talk Like a Pirate.
Oh, okay.
I believe that's what it was.
Yeah. So yesterday we actually finalized those assets, so they're going to start moving their way in. Maybe be in the next build, the next release that we have. We have the pirate hat and we have a snowman hat.
Oh, nice. So is this kind of paving the way a little bit more for a little bit more customization behind the gnomes then?
A little bit, yeah. So we do have a big update coming up. I don't know if you've seen some of our teasers for the female gnomes.
Yeah, big fan.
Yeah, so the female gnomes are coming, and what that's going to allow players to do is, like right now in the menu, you don't really get to choose your gnome body. It's like, I think right now if you're player 1, you're always the old gnome with the beard. So the new update, you'll be able to choose your body type. So you can be the younger or the older gnome, the male gnome, or you can be the younger or the older female gnome. And then you can choose your hat as well. And then we're trying to find ways of, kind of talking about them as a family. Kind of the red team as a family and the blue team as a family. And then kind of subtly going away from red versus blue and more kind of like cool colors versus the warm colors and trying to think of a family name to give them because
Hatfield McCoys.
Yeah.
That's exactly. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, we've tried to find ways of kind of like punifying their names.
Yeah.
In a very clever way. But yeah, that's kind of what we're thinking.
We've also reached out to our community, have we? On our Discord, we've got a kind of a contest going
Yeah, a little bit of a contest.
So we're definitely
gnomes.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this and you've got a great name, stop by our Discord. Share it with us. We promise we will credit you. With like a T-shirt and much love and praise.
And I think that if we choose a name, your name's going in the credits.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
We'll leave a link to the Discord and all the links for you guys down in the description.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's a daily thing for me just to go through the Discord and see kind of what's coming, what's new, what we got, what kind of things that I can see that's coming for the game, and seeing that the different colors that you're talking about for the warm colors and the cool colors was something that I was kind of excited about personally, because I like red, I like blue, but adding those different shades also adds just that little bit layer of customization. That kind of for me, that's kind of what I look for in a game.
You like character customization?
I like a little bit of character customization, especially in this situation, because, well, pirate hat, one thing. But, just that capability of choosing a different hat to make yourself stand out, to give yourself that just a little bit like, this is me.
This is me.
Yes.
So,
we definitely want to do that, too, because another thing that we observed at trade shows is they spent the time in the gnome select. They know who they are, but then they get in the game, and then you see one guy run off the edge because he thinks he's the other guy. So we're trying to incorporate color so you can identify yourself with the color and the hat, and hopefully less confusion there.
I've done that a time or two, unfortunately.
Me too.
I have as well, and I designed the game. Right, so.
I do a lot of running in circles. I'm like, there I am.
This is definitely me.
Oh, yeah. One little small tweak that we did to the game to help yourself identify yourself is the taunt that we have. You can taunt during the 3, 2, 1 countdown. So you can taunt your enemies and wave, and then you know who you are.
That's cool.
But I did not know that.
So,
just a small little...
Curtis waved.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's new. Or I had never done it before.
Yeah, it used to be... Well, we used to prevent you from making any actions during the countdown.
Yeah.
So we changed it so you can at least have that action. So, identify yourself and do a little gnome smack talking before we start.
Very cool.
Okay. Here, I've got a question for you. This may be just something that tech-related that I had an issue on my side. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I just want to kind of ask at this moment. Do y'all have D-pad disabled on the game and only analog stick?
That is a bug. I guess it kind of snuck through. Yeah.
Okay.
But because that's something I noticed. I use D-pad for menus too.
Yeah.
And part of that, I guess I can kind of tease out the why that was an issue. Is we're working on making the game more accessible by allowing you to customize your your controller layout and your button mappings, but then also allow players to play on the keyboard as well. So PC users can play, and we went in one direction, right? Mouse and keyboard is definitely one direction, but we went just pure keyboard, and we are allowing 4 people on a keyboard, or up to 4 people
on a single keyboard. Wow!
So you can button map all 4 people on the single keyboard and try that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, just in case you don't have any kind of controllers whatsoever, you can take a stab at it.
Yeah, because not everybody can have 4 controllers running on their computer.
Yeah. So if you have at least a keyboard, you can play the game.
Very cool.
With 4 people. We haven't play tested it ourselves with 4 people on one keyboard, but
I imagine it would be chaos.
Yes.
You gotta have some small hands.
Exactly.
Or strong elbows.
Okay, well, because that was kind of one of the things that I was wondering about when we were recording last night. It was like I was like the D-pad suddenly wasn't functional, and I was like, wait, okay, well maybe that was just me. But the customization for the button mapping is kind of big for me, because switching to tank mode while you're mowing, I forget it every time.
Oh yeah.
So I literally stop my mower, and then I'm starting there hitting buttons.
Hit everyone. That's the one.
For me, it doesn't matter. Every single time I look at it, I said, this is the button that I'm switching to tank mode with. Before I start the game, I still forget.
Oh yeah.
So
well, that's good.
I'm excited about that, because I like my shoulder buttons and triggers.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, we went back and forth between a lot of, designs, and we even talked about kind of repetitive layouts where, like, maybe X would pop the turret and B would pop the turret, or both the shoulder buttons, you can choose which one will pop the turret. And then we talked about kind of like predetermined layouts that you can cycle through. But it was fairly easy for us to just allow players a full customization. So we went with that. So yeah, hopefully that will fit for most people, because I know some people have very particular ways of holding controllers. Makes it more accessible for people who don't have very dexterous. Like my aunt's quadriplegic, so she can't play games because her hands really messed up. But this would allow her to find a control scheme to play the game too.
Right.
So it just kind of goes into that accessibility model that we've been really pushing for. Allow as many people to play and enjoy the game their way.
Yeah.
Now, have you seen the Xbox latest controller, their accessibility model controller?
I have not.
It's kind of an interesting thing. It has two large paddles, and then a kind of different options for buttons, to where the controller, if I remember correctly, it kind of a little bit learns and adapts to what you're trying to do, so you can actually move. So it's just kind of, while you were talking about accessibility, it's something that just kind of rolled in the back of my head. It's like, I wonder if he had seen this controller yet.
I have not. Definitely check it out.
I don't recall if it is out yet or not.
I'd never heard of it. Honestly, my head went to that grease-proof controller.
The grease-proof controller.
I had not heard of that. You said grease-proof.
Yeah.
As in like
you can't get it. It's sealed, so you won't get it all greasy eating potato chips and playing Rocket League.
Wow. It's amazing it took... It seems like that would have been done a long time ago.
You would think, I think this is a promotional one. I think someone, it was like a third party, made it. But, yeah.
Kind of one of those like little rubber wrap things that you would put around the Wii controller. Like,
oh my goodness.
Clunky.
With that, none of that ever saved me with the Wiimote. Yeah. Wrist strap doesn't matter. I can send a Wiimote flying no matter what. The best
right?
Oh yeah.
But I guess I do want to go ahead and talk about this again. Is there going to be any for porting the game to like a console, specifically like Switch, because I know it's big. Switch is huge. Is there going to be any challenges in that factor, or does it feel like it may be a good quick port?
I think the biggest challenge is the unknowns. Just like
the unknowns.
Yeah, exactly. Like we have no idea. So we have given us enough time to play with it. We do know that we play the game on Switch. Like we can get it to run on the Switch. We can't necessarily do a map on. Not all maps load all the way for whatever reason, so we have to dig into that. But I mean, it works on the Switch, so we're that far at least. And then we have to figure out some of the motion controls, because we definitely want to integrate that into our game, and then figuring out how to have the game detect which kind of controller that you have. So on the Nintendo Switch, you can of course have the two Joy-Cons or one Joy-Con rotated, or the GoPro. Like there's so many options. So we have to figure out how the Nintendo Switch interfaces and when is appropriate to bring up that Switch interface to say, hey, kind of tell us what controller you're using. So we'll just figure that out. But yeah, I don't know how difficult it is because it's just so unknown.
Still in the process.
Oh yeah. But I'm looking forward to it a lot.
I'm confident. I think we've solved some huge challenges as a team, and I'm pretty sure this is one we can do. Yeah. And we've given ourselves ample time, so we're not gonna, that's one thing I believe in, is I believe in giving everybody enough time, and I'm pretty strict about, all right, we're going to do 40 solid work hours this week, and then we're going to go rest. We'll do it next week. And I'm really pleased with the way our game has turned out with that production philosophy.
Our team is off the rails. Like we played last night. We actually recorded a video, and I mean the game looks gorgeous.
Thank you.
I was just saying,
praise to the art team.
Yeah, for such a small team, that sounded like a backhanded compliment. But
no, don't worry. We've heard it before from some very rich people who were contemplating giving our studio money. So it feels good.
Give them money.
Yeah, I know, right?
Lots
Thank
of
you.
money, please. We love this game.
Yeah.
We have more. We're going to start. Guy's going to start prototyping some new ideas here soon as well. Once we are sort of in full. Let's get the game, into consoles, right? I'm really excited for some of the prototypes that Guy is going to work on. So we've got, more games in mind beyond this one, and That's I think going to be really exciting.
Yeah, now that we're kind of shifting our production into this Switch port, the designers and the artists are kind of sitting there twiddling their thumbs until we're on call to fix an issue related to the port. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting the art team going and pumping out some concepts, and I'd love to show people, engage, community reaction and what kind of direction that we should go with the next game, and kind of have that really design a lot of the design decisions that we have to do. So I'm really looking forward to that process and incorporating our community into our game making process.
Wow, there you go, TJ. New game. You heard it right here. New game now. No, that's really exciting, because for the game itself that you've put out, it is. I know we've said it over and over again. It's great. I really love the game, and my brother loves it too. And for him, once it hits console, that's going to be the big thing for him, because he has 2 daughters that he wants to play with and his wife. They love playing that 4-player local co-op games. He is just dying for it for the Switch at the moment.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah,
yes.
The Switch is you could say our sort of top platform, and we've been really fortunate. I remember when we were at PAX South, Kirk Scott from Nintendo came by our booth, and he saw the game, and he kind of had this reaction like, you guys are going to be on the Switch, right? And, of course, we didn't realize he was from Nintendo at the time, but then we see like the Nintendo thing on his on his shirt, and he hands us his, business card that says, I forget he's pretty much head of like third-party development relations, and he's been a big champion for us. He helped us get a dev kit. He's been great, and very excited about being on the Switch, because, as you said, so many people, especially families, are interested in playing it together, and I'm really excited for that as well. I have 2 small children. My daughter's 5 and my son's 3. He might make it to 4. I'm not sure yet. Depending on his behavior.
Ominous.
I know, right? My wife has sort of jokingly, whenever my son misbehaves, she sort of half jokingly, I think jokingly, she'll be like, "Can we sell him?" And I'm just like, well, I don't think it would be legal. No, he's great. But as my children age, I'm looking forward to actually being able to really enjoy games with them together. When your kids are really young, they're into games that are all about randomness, like the Chutes and Ladders and various games that it's really not about strategy at all. It's literally like a coin toss on who's going to win.
Yeah.
But as they mature, they start losing that. Those games lose their appeal very quickly for obvious reasons. And so we've noticed that kids, 7 to 9 is about the earliest they seem to really get into our game. And so for me, I'm really looking forward to being able to play more games like this with my children. I think other people are too, who are like the first generation gamers, right? They've grown up now, they have families of their own who are growing up, kids who are growing up as gamers, So I'm really excited for that. As that demographic develops, the content that will be there, and obviously our studio producing some of that content as well.
Oh yeah, something very, very family friendly, family oriented. It's people don't think that it has such a huge market, but it really does. At least from what I've seen, and people's always talking about. Well, here's Red Dead, here's Red Dead, here's Red Dead. All these games like that. But everything has a market or a niche. There's a niche market for stuff, and then there's a family oriented market, and that's kind of one of the things that really you don't see tapped a whole lot as of late anymore. It's always going after that. Let's see, it was 18 to 36 male demographic instead of the family. So,
yeah, I mean, I think there's really with the way the cost of tools and the engine and things have come down, the barriers to entry being so low now, you can really create. Not quite this, but you can almost create a game for every player, right? You can create a lot of different niche experiences, and you can, instead of before, right, when you had to, it's like every game had to be a huge success or no bueno, right? Every game had to be $49.99 or more. Now we have all kinds of different options, and being in the indie world, right, being able to put out a game for $19.99 seems like that's a pretty reasonable amount of risk to take. Like when I buy a game for $14.99 or $19.99, I get really excited. It's the closest thing, being an adult, that I can remember to when I was a kid at like Christmas time and like shaking the presents. What's it going to be? And when I get when I find that hidden gem, it feels really great. On the other hand, I love AAA games, don't get me wrong, and I buy plenty of them. But I kind of know what I'm going to get, and usually that takes a little bit of the excitement out of the experience, right? It's like I know what I'm going to get. It's probably going to be a good experience, but I'm probably not going to want to play it for 40 hours. It might hold my attention for 10 or 20. But I find these indie gems out there, and I'll be willing to put in like 100 hours, assuming I had that much time. And it's just really exciting to find games like that are so engaging. So that's another thing I'm really looking forward to, being able to experience more of that.
Absolutely. One thing that I was kind of curious personally is in gameplay of Mowin and Throwin, you're sabotaging. We talked about there. You're sabotaging your opponent by throwing things. Was there ever any consideration of random events happening on your side to kind of slow down your side versus somebody else?
We talked about that. We had a designer that worked with us a while ago, and we talked about kind of these ideas. He really liked dynamic map design, so he's the one that came up with turf warfare. So the way that it shifts and kind of changes your approach. So that was kind of our barrier of entry to kind of like explore that idea. And we were exploring like bigger ideas. We had a whole big experimentation with like snow and ice maps and like avalanches that would come down. You'd have to address the avalanche or the special event, or grass platforms all of a sudden coming in. So you had like a really small area at first, and you're like, oh, this will be easy. But then it starts kind of like adding in these platforms during the course to kind of add to the complexity there. So we definitely talked about that and explored some of those ideas. Is just when we were, because of the tight schedule of development, we just kind of picked the ideas that were working the best and just rolled with them and put in the art effort to make them nice and pretty.
Yeah.
So they're definitely sitting there. There's some great ideas sitting there that are ready to be resuscitated. It's a matter of figuring out if we want to go that direction. That's part of the explorations I'll be doing next week, is talking about DLC and if it's worth doing DLC and what that would look like, and if fans would be on board with doing some of that stuff.
Yeah, we should definitely dig into the dynamic events more. I think as a sort of design philosophy, we opted to go more in the direction of things that players can control more directly, as opposed. So it's like you can use an event and make a choice with it, as opposed to it just sort of happening to you and you have to contend with it. Because one of the like theories of fun, and I forget who said this, but fun is a series of interesting choices, right? That's one of the theories of what makes games fun, among others.
Yeah, it's I know who you're talking about. It's like an equation. Fun equals decision making over time.
Yeah.
So the more decisions that you make over in a small amount of time, the more fun you're having. So we have like two different styles of maps. Like, in fact, one of the 1v1 levels that we haven't showed yet isn't driven by players. It's no me go round, but the thing is constantly spinning. So now you have to work around the map because this thing's constantly spinning. So you can run with the grain to kind of accelerate your running, boost you to a different side of the map to dig something up. Or you can try to run against the grain and see if you can't try to take a shortcut. And then the other team can sabotage some choke points within there. So it's a really interesting map, and it actually ended up being the most difficult map that we had, and we kind of embraced that idea of keeping it the most difficult because it's so much fun to kind of work around that map. And then you kind of got the flip side with Jungle Rumble, where you have to throw items at the totem to knock down the bridges. So the player decision events, they feel really rewarded when they get that sabotage moment, especially when they hit the totem, the item bounces off and stuns somebody, and they get the bridges knocked down. So it's like a really rewarding moment that you made that decision to do that. So I think both of those are very valuable in the game, and it's just kind of up to the players, because some people don't like Jungle Rumble, but they might prefer like Turf Warfare, and vice versa. So it's just kind of how you like to play and how you like to make your experiences.
Okay, so I mean, honestly, everything you just described, especially in the 1v1, I was just sitting here and going, that is so much fun sounding.
I'm excited about the next 4 that are coming out.
Personally, I am too, and I just as an outsider's perspective, I do actually hope that y'all kind of do start adding in a little bit of DLC, specifically level oriented.
More levels. Mm-hmm.
That is kind of one of the things that I love the set that levels that there are, but I do want to see what else that y'all can bring in level design as well. Specifically, when you're talking about the like a random events and like the avalanche. When you're talking about it's a concept for the avalanche and the snow and ice level, I'm just sitting there going, I'm imagining things in my head going, okay, here's how you could, and it just starts getting me rolling on this. I'm like, this could be actually like amazing fun for me. So,
oh yeah, and I think that not to kind of criticize our own levels back there, but like the old levels that we have, they're really good and they're fun.
Oh yeah,
they're solid. But we've learned so much about design and designing our own game throughout the process that it makes it easier to iterate, makes it easier to build levels. You can build them faster and be more confident that the idea is going to be fun. So level building should be a little bit quicker process because of that. And then we have all these old ideas that we kind of want to resuscitate and look at again and see, like, do they still hold up to our current philosophy and everything like that. So that is definitely one of the many things that I've been thinking about in terms of our next exploration and stuff. Is like we did have to make a really hard cut at one point where we had these snow levels planned out, and the snow levels were going to have a whole different feel to them. It's still Mowin and Throwin, but you're essentially snow plowing.
Yeah,
awesome.
So you're like plowing up snow, and we even talked about converting the lawnmower into some sort of
snowblower.
Zamboni.
Yeah, and then we played with like ice mechanics, sliding around. We had some really cool explorations there, and we had to make a hard cut because we just time and money, and we wanted to make sure that the few levels that we knew were really, really good, put a lot of energy into making them really awesome, instead of kind of spreading it out. So they're there, and we might open that vault and start taking a look at those. We had, in our very earliest concepts, we had kind of what we call the vanilla levels, which is essentially all the levels that we have in the game. But then we had other themes, like the dark level was supposed to be an entire theme. It ended up just being one level because it was very difficult for us to find the fun in that level. And then we had snow levels. We had these canyon level themes ideas, playing with like lava and fire mechanics. Yeah, so we had a lot of things in the works that we were thinking of, and we just had to move on. But it'd be really cool to go back and explore some of those ideas.
I hope you do have the opportunity to do so, because that to me that sounds super fun in gameplay wise. I like that idea personally. I will say.
Yeah. Well, one of the we've always been like believers in player feedback, but up until this point, we haven't followed what I would call an open development philosophy. We've been more like, let's get it nice and polished behind closed doors. We'll get players to come to our studio and give us feedback, and then we'll show it like to the public. And I think in our future projects, we're probably going to do kind of a hard 180 there in terms of our production philosophy and go for the more sort of open approach, because the one that helps build your community around the game, right? And also it opens the door to get more feedback from more people, right? And get people more engaged and excited, hearing about the game and giving ideas for us to sort of prototype and plow around with.
Yeah, I think this next prototype phase is going to be our first step into that 180. And really showing off all the prototypes and all the experimental art and whatever designs that I'm experimenting with. Show it to the community and see what they want. There's a lot of ideas and things that I want to make, but if I put out like an RTS game out there and I just hear crickets, maybe not everyone's interested in the RTS.
I would be thrilled about an RTS game.
Yeah.
I love RTS games.
So everyone's a cricket but one.
Yeah.
But
DJ would be most vocal.
Yeah. So we really want to build the game for the gamers. Since we have the capability of doing that, that's we want to hear everyone else saying like what they would like to play and what they miss and what what's currently out there and what's missing out there and what they want. We want to fill that gap for them and for our players. So that'll be part of our 180s, kind of building the community, gauging what they want, engaging with them, and finding ideas and building it with the community. And then we'll latch on to something really cool, and we'll be confident that that'll be fun, and we'll move on with that idea.
Yeah. That way we won't run into these sort of issues where we have a game that's like really fun, but then we're sort of like, okay, wait, how do we market this most effectively? The two can kind of grow hand in hand, right? And one can sort of feed towards the other.
Yeah.
Let your community be your sounding board or not sounding board.
Sounding board and chearleaders and everything.
And your voice for your marketing.
Voice there.
Let them be out there. Let them be
Word of
shouting
mouth.
at the top. Yes. Absolutely. Boy, I'm excited for the future, for what y'all have coming soon.
Thank you. Yeah, we're a lot of other people who are. It's very flattered that we've gotten their attention. Are excited as well for the future of House Pixel Games. So yes, we have a good philosophy. We have a good team in place. I think we have a great production philosophy with not crunching, and so I think we are going to be in an ideal position to create some very cool stuff down the road. So I'm very excited to be able to share that with the wider world and watch things grow. Right, that's the thing is you know, anytime you start something, you plant a seed, and there's sort of a joy in planting that seed and watching it grow. And I've been very proud of seeing how far we've come. You know, we're still just sort of like, you know, our leaves are kind of poking out of the ground just a little bit. We have a long way to go, but I'm very excited how far we've come.
See the results of all the effort and the time and the blood, sweat, tears, more or less. And
yeah, but there's been definitely been all of that. Mostly sweat, I think. Not so many tears. Very little blood. Yeah.
Someone got stabbed in the parking
lot. Paper cuts. Yeah, it's been great, and it's also a joy to see people at shows, right? Who will come and I've been to almost, I think, every show we've been at, and I recognize people who have been to, you know, I remember one guy. I was at MomoCon in Atlanta, and he had actually been at our show in PAX East, and I felt so bad because I didn't remember him. And he told me, his name is Nathan, and he had said, "Oh yeah, I played your game with my friends this last weekend. You know, we just grilled and hot swapped on the couch for like 7 hours." And I was like, "Wow!" And it's really great to get feedback like that, especially, you know, when it comes on the heels of like a prospective publisher saying, "Well, we're not sure people are going to want to play your game that long." It's always nice to hear like the feedback from the players is the opposite. And so, and then I remembered him after that, of course, and I saw him at PAX West. I think he'd actually broken his leg. He was on a little scooter, but he came up and I was like, "Nathan." And it's so great to, you know, see people come by and like remember who they are and have them tell stories about the fun they've had with our game. Yeah, I think it's a very rewarding part of being a game developer is like people are out there experiencing what you put your time into, and you have the potential with what you create to reach almost the whole world.
Yeah.
And you can use that to not just spread enjoyment, but you can spread ideas, you can spark conversations. I mean, gaming as a medium, I think it's really exciting to think about gaming as more than just entertainment, but as being something that sort of provokes thought and ideas as well. But that's sort of my own sort of take on the excitement of being a gamer and what gaming can do for the world.
Mm-hmm. I guess kind of some of the final questions here. TJ, did you have anything you wanted to ask?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, and because we were talking about how the mowing isn't quite as fun as the sabotage. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Have you guys considered adding power-ups to positively affect your side? Like, I just had the idea because I don't do anything all day but think about stuff.
That's awesome.
But like I was thinking of like you get a drop of scythe and it allows you to clear a big area, sort of like you know, Link's sword thing he does.
Oh yeah,
that'd be cool.
And also I was thinking of like an electric mower that drops down,
kind of like a weed whacker or like a single mower.
Well, you know, like the self-propelled mowers.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
But it moves very, very fast and breaks as soon as it touches anything.
Right.
So it would, like, you could let it go and it would just hit a wall or a rock or something, but it would clear an area, you know, that you couldn't reach. Say there's a bag.
Oh, yeah.
You could just fire it in that direction, or you could try and control it and not hit a wall. You know, 3 seconds or whatever. Just something to make the mowing more fun, because when you're not on the mower, you're doing a lot of throwing. But I mean, sometimes you're not getting anything. You're just like, I'm just gonna
pick up some grass. And, bide my few seconds until something drops.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are all cool ideas. I like the. I think if we could make mowing substantially more fun, that would obviously sort of feed into that marketing problem I talked about, where it's like if people see mowing, I think that's a cool idea to think about. Definitely.
Yeah, we have a huge list of ideas. Even built in the project of like names of items that we either explored with or we're going to explore with.
Right.
And some of them were very successful, others not so much.
Right.
We had one idea that I thought was going to be awesome. Is like this, what do you call it? Bumper from.
Think about like a pinball bumper.
Yeah, like
almost.
a pinball bumper.
Oh, nice.
So when you ran close to it, it would push you away. And so you could put it on an edge and hope someone walked close to it and knock them off. And that was kind of a fun idea, but we realized it was just another rock, essentially. Except you couldn't break this one. You couldn't walk up to it and mash B because it would bump you away from it.
Yeah.
So it was a more frustrating rock, and like in some of the choke points in the map, you just couldn't even walk around it.
Oh, yeah, that'd be game breaking a little bit.
So that one was frustrating. Another one we tried that was kind of cool was this tether idea, which is like kind of inspired from the halt ability from Orisa if you play Overwatch. Yeah. So it'll land in a field, and anyone who's in a radius, it'll grab them and just yank them together.
Yeah. Oh, that's
like a
cool.
leash.
Yeah, so it's kind of like an idea is if you see someone running for a gas can or something, you're like, nope, and you just like plant that there and like yank them away from the item that they're trying to pick up. That one was fun. It just had a lot of bugs.
Yeah.
A lot of bugs. And with the way that physics works in Unreal, because we primarily deal with a non-deterministic system, meaning like it's just anything can happen, right? Like you throw a rock. We used to have issues. You throw a rock and it would just launch like into the sky, like right. And there, we were just baffled on how to fix that issue because it wasn't anything that we were programming wrong. It's just the engine's physics were doing that. So that one we couldn't solve some of those issues with there. But we are happy to announce that one of the items that we did like, it's coming out soon. We're just putting out the new the instructions for it. We're building that.
Nice.
I think it's called the poison mushroom now.
Ooh.
So it's a mushroom. When you throw it, it has a blast radius. Anyone caught in the blast radius, it reverses your controls. So up is down, down is up, left is right. Yeah. So it's about 10 seconds, and you have to kind of like mentally swap your mind and your controls, and it even affects you when you're on the mower.
It's wild.
Nice.
Very cool.
And it's a lot of fun. I can kind of counter it. I've experience with it. But when I'm on the mower and aiming, for some reason, that mental switch doesn't happen for me. So it is a really fun sabotage, especially when you see someone walking away from a ledge. You hit them, and then they just reverse and walk right back off.
Very cool. That'll also help because like a lot of it's like, you throw a gas bag and you see they're going to get to it because you got plenty of time to pull it up.
Yeah.
But like, hitting with a rock or hitting with a grass bag or hitting with anything really helps. But having that, as soon as they're to it, whoop, now you're going the other way.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
So that one's fun. I'm looking forward to it. And then as far as power-ups go, we did talk about it. We didn't really experiment with power-ups towards the mower, more so with the gnome. We heard several people suggest like a dash ability and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
So that was something like a power up that would give you temporary dash, or a power up that like essentially turns you into a lawnmower. So when you walk around, you just walk and cut grass at the same time. Was another one that we experimented with. We experimented with a manual push mower, so they would just like pull it out, and then you'd like hold B, and they'd move really, really slowly, but you can just cut grass that way. So these were a lot of different things that we experimented with, and so if we went in the DLC route, some of those items would probably pop up.
Very cool.
Oh yeah.
Well, that sounds very exciting. Any other questions, TJ?
I don't have any more.
Okay.
Do you have any more?
No, I think at this point, I think we kind of picked their brain quite a bit.
Yeah.
And we got to hear. Here you go. One last question. Will House Pixel be at any more conventions coming up soon?
Oh, that's a great question. Yes, we will. So we're very excited about EGLX, which is actually up in Toronto. So we'll be going to Canada. It's the largest gaming convention in Canada.
Nice.
And we're going to have a really, really big show there. We're going to be on the main stage. We're going to have some really big streamers. Dreamcast Guy is one of them, and he's actually here in the Dallas area. So we're going to have streamers actually playing with members of the audience for in like a mini tournament the Saturday and Sunday of the show.
Very
so I'm
cool.
very excited about that. And then in November, I believe we're going to be at the DreamHack in Atlanta. So we're I think there might be something I can't announce about that, but if you're smart and listening, you know what it is. But we're definitely going to be at DreamHack, and we're very excited about that. It'll be the first time I've been to DreamHack, so not my first time in Atlanta, but excited about that show as well.
Very cool.
I'm jealous. I've always wanted to go to DreamHack.
Yeah, it's
one day.
DreamHack Austin.
Sooner than you think. Yeah. There are so many great shows here in Texas. It's hard to choose. Like you've got RTX, you've got DreamHack. I think the hardest thing about DreamHack in Austin is its proximity to E3, right? And then like South by Southwest has a great gaming expo, but it's also very close to GDC. So those the thing about going to conventions is they're great, but man, it takes some time to like mentally recharge after 3 or 4 days.
No doubt about that.
Oh yeah, that was. I went to OP Live and that was a lot of fun, but we were there for 12 hours.
Yeah.
10 to 10, and that was a long day.
It was a long day.
I mean, it was a good day.
It was a good day, but it was a long day.
Oh yeah, it was really fun watching some like professional Overwatch from some collegiate teams.
Yeah.
But when I went home, man, I was confused.
Taking Monday off.
Oh, and then some.
I need a day.
I know, right? Need a day.
Yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead, TJ.
I was just gonna say, just from a spectators, like doing like a PAX South. I did that for 3 days, and I was wiped. I can't imagine just being there and constantly being on, like, because I can just walk away and go sit down for a while, where you guys are just constantly on it.
Oh yeah, pretty much. You have your spiel, right? Like
Yeah.
every new person, you got to introduce them and get them excited. So it's kind of like the same thing, repeating the same thing over and over.
And you have to be excited about it. You have to sell it too. I'd be like, yeah, this is my game.
Yeah,
it is. Sit down. It's fun.
That's kind of how it is by Sunday. Yeah, or like the last half hour of the day, I'm like, well, you're here. Go for it.
It's like, why are you here? I'm ready to pack up.
Go home.
You try to be a little nice. You're like, yeah, I'm here if you have any questions. You just kind of sit down and you're like.
It was there was kind of an emergent thing that we figured out with that one though, because like in our early conventions we were very kind of babysitter, as we would sit over their shoulder, guide them through the game, explain every little bit to get them going and know as much as possible. Kind of towards the tail end of those conventions, we get so tired. They were just like, sit down. There's a how to play. You can learn. And then we started doing that a little bit more, and it's nice to watch people organically pick it up and learn and teach themselves. They don't get everything. It is their first time user experience. It's a loud convention. They've got other things to do. But hopefully that the little bit that they tasted, they're like, oh man, that's cool. I want to see more. And then they'll discover what more is in the game once they pick it up.
That's a good insight, because another theory of fun, right? Learning is fun.
Yeah.
I think that's from Coster. Yeah, learning is fun. And so yeah, we definitely learned it's probably not a good idea if you're at a convention to what I would call white knuckle the gameplay experience for the player. Like, let them experience it on their own terms, take a step back. That makes it easier on you as a dev. Like, you can engage with people who are waiting in line and be like, oh, hey, what brought you over to our booth? And tell me about yourself and what do you like about our game? And it also liberates the players to just kind of have an experience organically.
Look, I say, not only that, you would probably give you some valuable insight at just how fast people can pick up and start your game and go.
Yes.
Oh, we made a lot of decisions based on just me watching people play and interact with the game. I'm trying to think of something specific. The tank mode thing, where you're saying that you kept forgetting. We used to have tank mode on the X button, not the B button. And the issue there that I observed is players loved to taunt. And I didn't know if they were like doing that intentionally. I figured out like they're accidentally doing it, and even though they were very nice about it, they loved the game. You could tell that it was kind of rubbing on them. Yeah, it was very frustrating because it does lock your movement, and they're like, I just want to figure out what's going on. Why am I waving and saying hi all the time?
Yeah.
And I made this connection that because if you were on the mower and you had to press X to get into tank mode, that was a button that you were used to pressing a lot. So then when you got off the mower, it was a button that you wanted to press a lot.
Yeah.
So because B was the other button that you press a lot, you mash B to dig up grass, it just made sense to move tank mode to the B button, and then that seemed to solve that issue. And I just caught that from just observing people play and watching them get frustrated at parts that we could obviously address.
Yeah. Very cool.
That's it's really cool. I'm excited about it. It's
fascinating.
The
whole process
the whole
is fascinating. It's like when you look behind the scenes, it's like layers of the onion, right? You're peeling them back, and there are more tears the more you learn.
Because we talked about this last time you were here, that it's very easy to say, well, why don't you guys do this and do that and do this? It's like, well, it's hard. And it makes the game messed up. It's not great.
That's the thing is you have so many people always kind of telling you, we want this, we want that. And then you as a developer have to make these really tough calls about, okay, well, I can't do it all at once. So what do I do first? And how much of it can I get done? And then how do I communicate that to the fans? Because I think game developers everywhere always, we want to give people, obviously, we want to give people everything, but you can never give people everything. Unless maybe you're Valve. I think Valve could give people everything. But that's the problem, right? You can never, because everybody keeps asking for more stuff, you can never be done, right?
Yeah.
So at some point you have to say, okay, we gotta plant a flag on this game, and then put it out there, learn from it, use the resources to make better stuff or make different stuff or make more stuff. But there are always more ideas, I think, than there are than there's time and energy to do. But that's a nice problem to have. You got more ideas than money, I suppose.
Once you start hearing like the same ideas, so it kind of it makes the justification of like moving forward with that idea a little bit easier. Like a year ago, it used to be kind of a joke in our studio. We'd laugh at everyone that would suggest about like female gnomes, like ha ha ha, that would be kind of cute in the game, but like there are no plans to do female gnomes. And then we heard it so much, and we started asking people like who didn't even suggest it, what do you think if we added female gnomes? And like people, their eyes would light up, they get really excited, and like this is probably a feature we should invest some time into.
Yeah.
And so we decided to do it, and found a really easy way to implement that into our game, and now it's going to be a feature, and we're really excited about it.
Awesome. I'm a big fan of the character models too.
Oh, thank you.
Just the artwork and everything looks really good.
Thank you. Yeah, that's Lee. Yeah, Lee's done a great job as our character artist and animator, bringing the gnomes to life. It's almost a shame because at the angle you play the game, you can't fully appreciate all the heart and blood and sweat and tears that went into making all those animations look so good. But you do. There are some things in the works, that you will be able to more fully appreciate that. So,
ooh, exciting!
Yeah, that's why we have some of those things on the main menu to kind of show them off. Like we did like an iterative pass on the animation at some point. So we had this dig animation that was kind of cool, and then I get into the game, and then all of a sudden like the dig animation's there, but the like gnome's just wiggling his butt.
I know, and you're like, whoa.
Really, I was like, okay, but I loved it. Like immediately loved it. I was like, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
You just don't get that kind of quality in the game, but at least you can show that off on the main menu in a really fun, silly way.
Yeah, it's harder to appreciate when you're playing the game because you're at that distance. But yeah, it's there. There's a lot of there's a lot of subtlety.
I wouldn't call them Easter eggs, but there's a lot of subtlety in the textures too. Lee loves cats,
and it shows. There's like cats in the texture.
There's cats almost everywhere in our game.
Hidden cats.
If you look for them, you'll spot them.
That's gonna be the next thing. You'll be like, "There's a cat."
Yeah, we might even think of like a community building kind of like scavenger hunt to see how many cats people can play a little I Spy in our games.
Very cool.
I'm gonna put a question in our next survey to the community. I'll be like, are you a cat person or a dog person? We'll be like, look at the correlation between how much they love the game and whether they're a cat person or a dog person.
A lot of some like subliminal messages.
Yeah, subliminal. Yeah, there we go. You're gonna get all Big Brother with this game.
Cats.
It's like, I played your game and I just for some reason I went out and I wanted to get a cat, so I did. Oh. Funny stuff.
Oh, well, so recapping, y'all are going to be at EGLX and
end of this month. Last weekend in October.
And
DreamHack, which is mid-Atlanta, mid-November. In Atlanta.
Okay. So if anybody wants to go and see House Pixel Games and go see Mowin and Throwin at their booth, check out those two places right now.
If you want to play the game, it's on Steam right now.
Oh, yes.
$19.99.
Check us out on Early Access.
Yeah, we make frequent updates. We got a new update coming soon. We've got 4 new maps coming out sometime soon. Female gnomes, the character customization, and the keyboard customization. So we got a lot of features rolling out. We even have
exciting.
one more new music track coming in.
Oh,
nice.
So it'll be the last 20-second countdown. We have this new kind of event and music to kind of get you geared up and amped up as the time runs down.
Yes.
A, communicate that the time is about to run out, and B, to kind of just get that last bit of energy as you try to frantically win and get that last percentage.
And it does get frantic.
Oh, yes.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, the decision making is really hard at the end of the games. Like, throw or mow? What do I do?
Yeah.
Do I have gas in this mower? Because I'm hitting A all the way.
I know, right?
Oh, yeah. That's a pro tip is you don't want any gas in your mower by the end of the match.
Yeah.
So.
Right, yeah. Pro tips.
Yeah.
Pro tips.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing some insight on the game and maybe what's even coming soon for House Pixel Games for their future games. So I know we definitely enjoyed the experience here today. So
that's awesome to hear. Thank you so much, TJ and Daniel, for having us again. So
thank you so much.
Always welcome. Always welcome. Yes. It's always fun to talk to y'all and get you insight on what you got going on. So again, thank you so much. And everybody who's tuning in, again, go check out EGLX in Toronto and DreamHack in Atlanta. And we will see y'all next time on the Bitcast. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Awesome.
Bye.
Take care, everyone. Thanks for listening.